to Sound Healing Radio. This is David Gibson, and our show today is on the harmonic structure of sound. And it's really about what sounds are best for what issues. I mean, there's a big difference between a gong and a harp. And you can hurt people with a gong if you're actually working on somebody with anxiety or panic attacks. Whereas if you're using a harp, may not work for someone that's got depression, may not be activating enough. So we're going to go through what makes one sound different from another and why you would use it. And so our intention is that everybody will know precisely what sounds to use for all issues, and we can heal every disease in the world. That's all. Right. When I do a sound like ah, there are over 100 frequencies in that one sound. Ah, right. I'm singing not only 100 frequencies, I'm singing over 100 notes. Ah, in that one ah. Right. They're just higher frequencies called harmonics that make up the quality of my voice, and which is also called the timbre, spelled with the I, T-I-M-B-R-E. So these harmonics, let me show them to you this way. When you pluck a string on a guitar, the entire string moves up and down like this. Right? It goes up and down between the nut and the bridge, the whole string going up and down, for those of you on radio only. Okay. Now, based on physics, the length of the string, the density of the string, the thickness of the string, and the tension of the string, there's all mathematical formulas for each one of them, a lot of them square root relationships. That E string, the first string on a guitar, is going to be about 82 cycles per second. That means that string's going up and down 82 times every second. Right? Now, we're going to use 80 hertz to make the math a little simpler, but that whole string going up and down is called the fundamental or root frequency. Right? But the string's also vibrating in two parts. So half of it's going up and down and the other half's going up and down, while the whole thing is going up and down at the same time too. The wavelength of the second vibration, which is half of the length of the string, is going to be double the frequency. Half the length, double the frequency. So that second harmonic is 160 hertz. Now I can actually play this second harmonic by putting my finger in the middle of the string, and it will stop the whole string from going up and down because my finger's in the way, right? But the ones that are going up and down in half the string and the other half, the middle part's not moving. So it won't stop that second vibration. So here's 80 hertz, and here's 160 with my finger in the middle. It's octave higher, double the frequency, same note, one octave higher. 80, 160. Right? Right. So that's called the second harmonic. But the string's also vibrating in three parts. It's going up and down in three different places, as well as two, and as well as the whole string going up and down, and 4 parts, and 5 parts, and 6 parts, and 7 and 8, 9. It goes, there's 30 different vibrations in this string at once. And all the frequencies of those 30 vibrations go up based on mathematical multiples. So if I've got the root is 80 hertz, then it's going to go 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times. So that would be 80, 160, 2 times, 240, 320, 400, 480, 560, 640, 720. Just multiplying 1 times, 2 times, 3 times 80. Right? So I can play all those harmonics by putting my finger in different places on the string, dividing the string in half, third, fourth, fifth, and so forth, just exactly like a violin player does to get all the notes, right? So here we go. Here's the root, second harmonic, splitting the string in half. third harmonic, fourth. Oh, let me make the sound better for you. Hold on a second. I'm going to turn on original sound. Okay. Actually, I'll just not share for a second. Okay, so here's the root, second harmonic, third harmonic, fourth. These are all the same string. Fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th. Now all of these frequencies are there right now. So all of these harmonics are there right now. But we don't separate them out in our brain unless you're on psychedelics or a monk, right? Then you can hear them separately. We don't separate them as too much information. So we go acoustic guitar tone, right? Instead of, but technically this is simply 30 different frequencies. I only played about 9 or 10, but they actually go down in volume, so you can hardly hear them above 10. But it's just a bunch of frequencies is what this tone of this guitar is. And it depends on how loud those frequencies are and which ones are actually there. They are all mathematical multiples. 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, right? They're all mathematical multiples. So in all sounds, almost all sounds are mathematical multiples. All the frequencies that make up all sounds are just about all mathematical multiples. 1 times, that's a very prominent pattern through the world of sound, that mathematical structure. Not the golden mean. It's 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. It's called mathematical multiples. Right? Now these mathematical multiples are not only frequencies, they are actually notes. So if I play the A string, you can see the notes here. Here's A for the root, A for the second harmonic, E for the third harmonic, C sharp, G a quarter flat. I'm sorry, E, then G a quarter flat, and then A, and then B and C sharp. Right? Actually, in the voice, when I sing this A, I'm singing 100 notes. So I'm not just singing A, I'm singing A, E, C sharp, E, G a quarter flat, A, B, C sharp, D a quarter sharp, E, F sharp. I'm singing every note there is right now. Ah, ah, ah. Every note there is right now. Ah. That's a trip, right? Brain can't handle it. Too much information. Sounds like an A to me. A, right? But it's actually every note. We always default to the fundamental, right? Because it's too much information. Right? Not only that, not only am I singing all the notes, I'm singing all the musical intervals in the world. Musical intervals are just a relationship between two notes. Those are different intervals, right, compared to the first one. So there in this one sound, is all musical intervals that we use in all music in the world. Holy moly, right? That's unbelievable. All music in the world is in this one note. That's cosmic. That's really cosmic. No rhythms, of course, left out the rhythms, but all the intervals of all music and all the notes of all music are in this one sound. Isn't that a trip? That's a total trip. That's why we use the notes we use. That's why we use the intervals we use. It's because they're in one sound and they make up the quality of that sound. Right? So it's kind of like a hologram. Right? In the beginning, everybody tuned the rest of their notes to these harmonics. So now you're playing the actual harmonics. But that was a little problematic, so we changed it over time because you couldn't go from key to key. Okay? Now, there's also a couple of things that I want to show you that have to do with why one sounds different than the other based on those harmonics. First of all, there's odd and even harmonics. It just so happens that instruments like a gong or a bagpipes or even Tibetan bowls mostly produce the odd harmonics. We're not talking intervals, we're talking the number of the harmonic. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, right? And the intervals of that 1, 3, 5, 7, all the odd harmonics are a weird chord. A, E, C sharp, G a quarter flat, B a D a quarter sharp, F a quarter sharp. That chord that's in a gong or a bagpipes in the sound, right? We're not talking about different notes. We're talking about one note, one sound, is dissonant, right? Right? That dissonant sound is what makes a gong edgy. It's what makes bagpipes edgy. Any sound that's made of metal, bumpy, and got reeds in it creates odd harmonics. And they're edgy, but they're really good for breaking up stuck energy. So we don't call them edgy, we call them activating. Really good for depression. Really good for energizing. Rock and roll, distorted guitar is totally odd harmonic. You know, heavy metal guitar, bam, right? But let's move some energy. Wow, rock and roll, right? This is cool. We love odd harmonic for breaking up stuck energy and moving energy. On the other hand, it just so happens that God has set it up such that even harmonics, like the harp or a nylon string guitar, or instruments made of wood where you play the wood, create harmonics that are a beautiful chord. A, E, A, C sharp, E, and so forth. So, like a harp has this chord in one note. Quite different than this, right? And that creates a beautiful, warm sound. A sound that's really good for calming, really good for creating peace, and really good for relaxation, right? Especially good for panic attacks or anxiety. Now, there's also different sounds that are more odd or even, more edgy or warm, like people's voices, right? Hi, hi, little odd harmonic, right? Or the whiners, wah, right? A little odd harmonics versus a very warm voice. Hey, hey there, right? And we've got singers that run the full gamut, you know, of odd harmonics, like Axl Rose or Bob Dylan, right? Or even Janis Joplin's more edgy, got edgy voice, versus somebody like Nora Jones or what's the blanking on this one? Anybody's got a really warm voice. Barry White got a warm voice, right? So it's very even harmonics. We even have DJs that are more odd or even harmonic, like Spongles, like meh, 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 poof, poof, right? It's like really edgy and really activating. Can be fun, right? But then there's like, you know, ecstatic dance DJs that are more bam, 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 boom, 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 right? So they're not as edgy. Generally, when we're young, we can handle more odd harmonics. Rock and roll. When we get older, well, we got enough stress, which is like odd harmonics, and we need more even harmonics for calming. Right? So odd harmonics are, especially a scream is totally odd harmonic. If something's louder, it's more odd harmonics. Right? So explains why a gong can be dangerous for somebody that's got panic attacks, right? Versus someone that is, you know, really young and vibrant and ready to be energized. Also, there's the different vowels for odd or even harmonics. E is much more activating. E than oo. Ooh, right? Ah is right in between. Ah. Eh is more odd than even. and O is more even than odd. So this is the hierarchy from E to E to A to O to U, right? Where it gets more and more warm when you get to the U. So when you're working with people, especially if somebody's really fragile, there's a lot of, you got to be really careful because people that are fragile or sensitive can't handle odd harmonic, which includes people in hospice. Also, what's really interesting is when we transmit love, we almost always use even harmonics. I had a girlfriend that she didn't use even harmonics. That's probably why we broke up, right? But normally we use even harmonics, right? You don't go, I love you. You go, I love you. I love you. Use warm, nice and warm sound, right? So this is the number one thing that makes a sound different than one sound from another, whether it's got more odd harmonics and even. Even harmonics are made of, when you got no metal, whereas metal and reeds and bumps, asymmetrical shapes, actually create more odd harmonics. Right? So that's the first thing that makes one sound different from another. Now, I did a song called Unconditional Love, and of course, I'm using mostly even harmonics. Although it's interesting, what I did in this song is I actually went from even harmonics. Oh, I don't have the short version here. I went from more, oh, I do actually. I went from more even harmonics to a little more activation right at the peak, and then at the end went back to more even. It's still all even, but I got a little activating in the middle. So let me play this. I'm just going to play the 5-minute version, and you can, let's see if I got, oh yeah, here we go. And listen for it. It's pretty warm, although it's got a cello in it, which is actually a balance of odd and even. So there's a little bit of activation there. It gets a little brighter, a little more odd, and then it mellows out right at the end. So let me play this, check this out, and enjoy. Oh. I don't know if you notice, I hardly notice it myself, but the string section, actually, there's 4 different string sections in there. The first, like 1 minute, is the really mellow string section, then it gets a little more activating. Still, even the 4th one that's the most activating is still super even and mellow anyway, but it's interesting, right, when it peaks out, and then it goes back down to, from the most activating down to the most calming at the very end. It's a subtle difference, but that's what I did. Okay, now the next thing that makes one sound different from another is how many harmonics. If you have no harmonics, it's really pure, and that's like a tuning fork, or a crystal bowl is mostly pure, or a flute is really pure, or something that's rich, which would be like a gong or a piano, or even the voice is really rich, right? Even a sitar is really rich. Big instruments are very rich. They got a lot more harmonic. Also, an opera singer is often very rich. Whoa! They can often do pure and rich. Whoa! Right? So they got the full gamut they can run. So there's a big difference, kind of a different way of categorizing besides odd and even harmonics. Like a violin's got a lot of harmonics, whereas a flute's got very few harmonics. So a room full of flutes is going to be more activating, because generally pure tones are more activating. It's like somebody poking you as opposed to somebody rubbing your arm with a bunch of frequencies. So that would be, again, tuning fork, crystal bowls, and then all the rich instruments as well. Right. So now in this world of pure and activating, let me play for you some pure tones. Let's see, let me grab this. Let's see if we got this working. Okay, I think this is going to work. Yeah, let's see. Playback engine. Yep, we're ready to go. Okay, so here we've got a pure tone, which is, you can, if you're on video, you can see 1 frequency here on the spectrum analyzer, or a higher 1 frequency. But here's a whole bunch of, actually, here's odd harmonics, a bunch of frequencies of odd harmonics. A little edgy, got a little buzz to it. Right? You can see all the different harmonics there. And here's a more even harmonic sound. They're warmer. Right? You can see all the different harmonics there. But we also have overtone singing here. In overtone singing, this guy actually likes to do both odd harmonics and pure tones. The pure tones are actually, well, let me play the odd harmonics first. Okay, here's some odd harmonics of him. You can see all the harmonics here as well if you're watching. Okay, so check this out. Here's the odd harmonics. Throat singing, right? If you thought that wasn't odd enough, here's even more odd. That'll do it. I mean, that's about as activated as it gets. So I don't want to play that for somebody with a panic attack, right? Or somebody in hospice. A little too much. Or if you just woke up, it's like, right? But if you're a little depressed, that could actually totally do it, right? And then we've got pure tones. When they do pure tones in throat singing, they're making the distance between the tongue and the roof of the mouth equal a wavelength that equals or distance equals the wavelength of one of the harmonics in the voice. And when you do that, it creates a standing wave which makes it louder. So here's the actual pure tone with throat singing. Check this out. You'll be able to see it on the spectrum analyzer here. You'll see it peak out much higher in volume. Cool, huh? Now let me play for you a professional at this, and that's Buku. Buku's booked for our conference. Oh, I forgot to tell you, we have our Sound Healing Conference coming up April 21st to the 23rd. It's free. It's the Sound of Love Conference. Go to globesoundhealingconference.com, and you'll find it there. globesoundhealingconference.com/love. Actually, if you go to Globe Sound Healing Conference, you'll get there too. There will be a link. Okay, so here's Buku, who's going to be in our conference, and he's a master at throat singing. Check this out.
Thank you very much.
Wow. Huh. Okay. 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 So these are the two main things that make one sound different from another sound and why you would use them for different situations. Now, here's what's interesting. Of course, crystal bowls with metals embedded or other gemstones or crystals or elements create different harmonic structures based on what's embedded in them. And those harmonic structures go into each water droplet and actually create a very specific mandala pattern called cymatics. So you're actually getting that crystal of that bowl right into your body directly. So it becomes a study of different crystals and gemstones and metals and what they do to the body. But also when we do voice analysis, it's like we found that it's well known that the harmonic structure of your voice carries your template of perfection in all the ways that you and society, especially parents, have screwed it up, right? So we do voice analysis to find what harmonics and frequencies are missing. Also, the harmonic world is the world of the quantum world, because the quantum world has no time in it. So all information is carried in the quantum world in the harmonics, whereas we live in the 3D world, ba da 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 da, which requires time to have a melody, right? And we get most of our information from melodies as opposed to the harmonic. And they say that the dolphins actually work within the harmonic world. I had this one woman, she said that a dolphin taught her how to do overtone singing. I'm like, really? What did he say? And she goes, with each bleep, she got a whole hologram of information from the harmonics that taught her how to do it. What a trip, huh? Okay. Then we've got harmonics that are actually in food and in colors and atoms, molecules. It's like you can think of, okay, what's an odd harmonic food? Well, that would be like either cayenne or maybe citrus. Right? Whereas an even harmonic food would be more like coconut oil or mashed potatoes, right? Whereas a pure tone would be like water. A rich tone would be maybe like a stew or something like that, something that's got a lot of different tastes in it. You can even do this also with essential oils. You got pure tones of essential oils, probably the purest, maybe rose oil, but most essential oils have more than one scent in it you can smell, so they're more complex. With colors, you've got like a pure tone of the three primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. And all the other colors are harmonic structures, or combinations of red, yellow, and blue that make up all the other colors. Right? Same with atoms. You got atoms in the body, which are the pure tones. A bunch of atoms create a molecule. Molecule is just a harmonic structure. Same thing with cells in the body. You think of cells as a pure frequency. A bunch of cells make up an organ, and those are harmonic structures. You can even have a pure intention where you've got like love. But then you could also have an intention of love, wisdom. So it's actually more than one intention at a time, which is really, really incredible, right? And more complex. So the whole world is basically made of one or more than one, right? That's all pure tones and harmonics are. One and more than one. It's interesting because it depends on what level you want to look at. You can say that our entire universe, actually, let me backtrack. Our entire body, I've never thought of this before, our entire body is incredibly detailed harmonic structure. There's so many different frequencies in the body, 70 trillion cells, right? But we are one person. Same again, one frequency of a person, of a soul. Right? But then you could say, look at all the frequencies in our universe. Gazillion frequencies that make up, gazillion harmonics that make up this, not just a gazillion, really gazillion. More like a gazillion times a gazillion. All these frequencies and harmonics that make up our universe, but we are one universe, which is one frequency, they say. And there are other universes that are other frequencies. So it depends on what level you want to look at. Right? Now, this harmonic structure is 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5. Everybody sing along. When you sing a melody, it makes it easier to remember things. If you want to have Parkinson or dementia patients, remember their name, sing it, teach them how to sing it, right? Because the melody part of the brain is right next to the memory part of the brain. So everybody sing along. 1 times 2 times 3 times 4. Come on. 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7 times 8 times. Right? The harmonic structure is mathematical multiples. This mathematical structure is the same in the distance between the planets. The distance from the Sun to Mercury is the fundamental. Mercury, or the root. The Mercury to Venus is 2 times the Sun to Mercury. Venus to Earth is 3 times the Sun to Mercury. Earth to Mars is 4 times. Mars to the asteroid belt is 5 times. Then we got Saturn is 6, Jupiter 7, 8, 9. Pluto is not in the harmonic structure. It's not mathematically in the structure. That's why they don't think it's a planet. They don't call it a planet. Right? So our solar system is a timbre. It's a tonality. I once actually took a bunch of tone generators and set them to mathematically be 1 times 2 times 3 times and so forth with the frequencies. And then set the volume of the tone generators based on the size of the planet. And the asteroid belt's a little noise. Right? It's not a pure frequency. It's like just kind of a scattered frequency. It's like shh. Right? So I added that in. And it kind of sounded like a little alien. They say the energy of our solar system is love. So this layout of particular frequencies that make up a timbre is love. That's cool, huh? It's really interesting. When you look at a picture of the solar system, it's never correct. Because if you spread them out where they get further and further apart, it wouldn't look good in a picture because it would be too spread out. So they always kind of scrunch them up together. Also, it doesn't look like this at all. I mean, think about it. If you look up from the Earth at Venus or Mars, it's this little tiny dot, right? Little tiny dot. Whereas if you're way out here in space, where you can see all of the planets, oh my God, they'd be teensy dots. They wouldn't be this big at all. They'd be really tiny, right? Compared to the sun and the size of the solar system. So this isn't what our solar system really looks like, but you get the idea. Our solar system is a certain tonality of a sound. Totally. Right? But also the distance of electron shells around the nucleus of an atom are also 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times. They get further and further apart based on the mathematical structure. The actual solar system is a little off because it's an ellipse and you have to average it out, whereas the electron shells are perfect. 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times in distances. Right? It's also in the vertebrae. You can break up the vertebrae and the weight of the vertebrae to exactly harmonics. You can see the harmonic structure exactly like how we were breaking the string into harmonics. We're splitting it in half and thirds and fourths and so forth. Right? So it's in our vertebrae even. And Fabian Maman says it's in the frequency of the auras. They go up based on 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times. And that's why he says natural instruments are way better for you than electronic because they've got the full undistorted harmonic structure. Whereas when you do anything electronic, even when you just record something, not only does the microphone screw it up, but the digital recording screws it up, and then when you play it back, it gets screwed up again because it gets converted again. So it's never as good as something natural. Although I saw God at a Pink Floyd concert, with totally electronic instruments and electric guitar. So I'm not throwing out any harmonics with the bathwater at all. Right? It's also in the chakras, I would bet. I mean, this is the way God does harmonics. 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, right? So you would think that the chakras are exactly. So the root chakra would be the fundamental, and then it goes up from there. 2 times the root, 3 times. And of course, as you might know from around here, we say that everybody's got a different note for the root chakra. That's your soul note or home note, your metabolism note. So my metabolism is a rhythm that vibrates at the note of B. So my root chakra is B instead of C. And also in different cultures, they use different notes for different root chakras. So yeah, around here we believe everybody's got their own root chakra note, and it's all different. This mathematical structure is in all types of things. It's in the frequencies of elements in chemistry. It's like the elements go up based on the harmonic structure. And it's in the spectral lines of hydrogen. It's also, if you've got water is like H2O. It's 2 harmonics of hydrogen and 1 harmonic of oxygen that make up make up water. It's a harmonic structure. It's also in string theory. Michio Kaku said there are harmonics in each of the string in string theory. Don't ask me any more about that. Okay? So it's everywhere. This harmonic structure is throughout our reality. But it's also only one of the main patterns in our universe. The other main pattern is the golden mean. The golden mean is basically the same as the Fibonacci. The Fibonacci is nature's way of getting to the golden mean. So the Fibonacci, the higher you go, the relationship between each of the numbers gets closer and closer to the golden mean, which is 1.618. And this, on the body, you've got the whole body, anything that grows actually is based on the golden mean. So this distance from here to here is 1.618. This distance is 1.618. That distance, my arm is 1.618 times my hand. Right? Even in the face, it's exactly 1.618. And in the classes, we actually measure that. It's a little off on people because everybody's a little bit different, but it averages out to that. And so it's throughout nature. Also, they say that when you are transmitting love, you actually create harmonics in the heart sound of the heartbeat that are based on golden mean. And the heart actually goes up and down in tempo when you're in the state of love. That it actually has the golden mean in that S-curve. So golden mean we think of as the growth or love pattern in nature. So there's the harmonic structure, which is the masculine structure of the universe, and the golden mean, which is the feminine or growth and love aspect. Those are the 2 main patterns in our universe. There's a million others. Right? I mean, every crystal's got its own pattern. I mean, there's all types of patterns, within the world of sacred geometry. But those are the 2 main ones, right? So, when you're out and about, notice all of the tonalities of not only the people you talk to. Is it more odd or even? More edgy or warm? Or is it more pure or rich? Also, listen to and note the music you listen to, the instruments in the music you listen to. Is it more odd or even? I mean, I can't handle odd harmonics in the morning. I feel really fragile in the morning. I mean, I can rock and roll a little bit in the afternoon, right? But I'm getting a little older, so I don't rock and roll as much. I still like more even harmonics, right? But notice not only the instruments in the music you listen to, but overall the music you listen to. Again, I often have a whole different playlist in the morning, depending on the harmonic structure, than in the afternoon or evening. Now, just to zoom out for a second, there are many things about music that are more activating or calming. Faster rhythms, dissonant chords versus harmonious chords, the chord progressions, the actual, all these different musical components are actually more important than the sound that we're talking about. But in sound healing, we often aren't working with the music as much, and we tune into only the sounds. So that's when it becomes really important, much more important. Although it's always important, but music is actually a much larger component than the sound in most music. To put it in perspective. So now that you know this, you can tune into music that's more right for that time of day, and sounds that are right for that time of day, and really just be more aware of all the different sounds around you and how they're affecting you. Odd harmonics can be too much for a lot of people. Even harmonics can be boring to a lot of people. I mean, if I did even harmonics for the whole show, it would be like, today we're going to get really warm. We're going to stay warm. We're not going to really use any odd harmonics. Oh, wake up. Are you asleep? You asleep? Odd harmonics help move energy. So may we all get the harmonic structure that we need for different parts of the day, for what we need in our system, or for anybody for healing, or even accessing higher consciousness, right? It's like gratitude's a perfect balance of odd and even. Hold that energy for the rest of the evening, the whole weekend, weeks ahead, months ahead, years ahead, and lifetimes. Thanks for listening, and take care.